إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Indeed, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory is due to Allah Azza. We praise Him, we glorify Him, we seek His aid, and we seek refuge with Allah Azza from the evil inclinations of our own souls and from the evil inclinations of our own actions. Whomsoever Allah Azza guides, none can misguide, and on the contrary, whomsoever Allah Azza misguides, none can ever guide. And I bear witness that there is no deity except for Allah Azza alone, Al-Wahid, Al-Ahad, Al-Awwal, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His final servant and blessed messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار واليعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear respected and brothers and sisters in Islam, unfortunately due to the traffic today we are all coming in late and the time is short and I have a lot of material to cover, important material to cover today. Inshallah, bear with me, I will be speaking a little faster than usual. It is being recorded, inshallah. If you want to recatch the message, inshallah, we'll make arrangements for that. But essentially, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Ramadan is the time when we can get an accurate baseline of who we really are. Why? Because Iblis is on vacation. Iblis, his children, all the minions, they are locked up in the Jahannam, so we don't have to bother with them, right? And essentially, it is our Nufs that we have to deal with, our Nufs. And so we essentially are able to gauge, we have a true baseline of who it is that we are during Ramadan. There are some people during Ramadan, you see, they're not able to pray during the year. During Ramadan, alhamdulillah, mashallah, they are praying 5 times a day. They are engaged more in ibadah than they are during the normal year. There are those who pray 5 times at home. During the Ramadan, they're able to make it to the masajid. Allahu Akbar. Right. So essentially, there are also those who are steady, who are stable. The way they are during the entire year, the same way they are during the Ramadan. These are the people who are the righteous people, the Ibadullahi Salihin, the Ashabul Yamin, the people on the right. These are the people who has the strongest of the 3 nafs. Essentially, you have the believers, right? You have the disbelievers on the left, and then in the middle, you have those that are borderline. This borderline is pretty wide. People in this borderline, essentially, their nafs can be inclined this way or that way. There are some that are further right to the good side, and there are others that are further on the left side. The focus, the message of today's khutbah, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is really going to be targeting those that are borderline and those that are on the left. Why? Because the people that are on the right, they have the nafs that's called mutama'inna. This is told to us by Allah Azza in Surah Al-Fajr. The mutama'inna nafs, this is the soul, this is the nafs who has been conditioned, who has been trained. All this nafs wants to do is please and worship Allah Azza. There are those among us who are of this category. If this is you establish a righteous lifestyle. You pray 5 times a day. You establish essentially all the 5 pillars of faith of Islam. You are striving. Your reason for existence and being is that you want to fulfill this covenant with Allah Azza. And inshallah, for those, there is no fear. Allah Azza says, there is no fear. On the Day of Judgment, after you die, before the Day of Judgment, in fact, we're going to focus today more so on the process of death. What happens after you die. The entire process in vivid detail. What happens? The focus is, at that point, there is no three categories, my brothers and sisters in Islam. There are two. There are two. The believer and the disbeliever. Allah Azza wa Jal, throughout the Quran, this is the dominant theme of the Quran. The message is what happens to those who are believers and what happens to those who are disbelievers. The same way, when you take shahada, when you're born into a Muslim family and you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Yes, you believe. You believe in Allah, you believe in the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and also in addition to the first pillar of faith, there is the 6 pillars of Iman. The 6 pillars of belief, right? Which is the Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, belief in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, belief in the books, the Quran, the Injil, the Torah, the belief in the angels, right? The belief in Qada, the divine decree of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the belief in the Yawm al-Qiyamah. Just because you have this, if you fulfill this, you are only fulfilling one of the pillars of faith, my brothers and sisters in Islam. One of the pillars of what is required to maintain the status of being Muslim. Yeah? Because the Quran, it's going to be very clear. At the end, when it's too late, there are 2 categories. Again, believer and disbeliever. SubhanAllah. So, there are the 3 types of nafs, essentially, while you're living. The 3 types of nafs that there are, that can be tied back to these people. The ones on the right, the ones in the middle, the ones on the left, right? So you have first from Surah Yusuf, this is the people who are the people of the left, right? People that are evil. This is Nafsul Ammara. Nafsul Ammara. These are the people whose nafs have taken over them. They're dominant. The nafs is essentially an empty, very impressionable vessel, my brothers and sisters in Islam. This vessel, whatever you condition it to do, that is what it's going to do. If throughout the year you're engaged in haram, you want to go to the club, you want to go do haram things, you want to smoke, you want to drink, you want to engage and fornicate and in haram affairs and relationships, that is what your nafs is going to be accustomed to, and this is the only thing your nafs is going to want to do. Ramadan's going to come around, you're not going to have an impact. Even the shayateen is chained in. Shaitan is saying, I've already done my job. This nafs is already corrupt. I don't need to even worry about him. He's going to be doing, his nafs is automatically going to take him to do all these haram things. Whether it's Ramadan or not, it doesn't matter. That's not of any consequence. So then you have the nafs, which is nafsul lawwama. So the nafsul lawwama is the nafs who is essentially always feeling guilty. This is the self-reproaching nafs, right? This is the nafs that he will commit the sins, but he will feel guilty. He or she will guilty. They will sometimes pray, they will often not. They are borderline. These are the borderline people, right? There are part-time Muslims essentially. Really, they're part-time Muslims, right? Sometimes they're very righteous, they wanna do good deeds, other times they could care less. Or they have given into the desires of their nafs, but at least the good thing is they feel guilty. They're self-reproaching, right? And then finally you have the nafsul mutma'inna. This is the nafs that is pure. This is the one that I talked about at the beginning, the ones of the believers. Okay? So now, my brothers and sisters in Islam, we again want to focus on reaching our brothers and sisters around the world. Our brothers and sisters around the world who fall into the 2 nafs, the 2 categories that are in the middle and to the left, right? So the message, the scary points of today's khutbah, my brothers and sisters in Islam, it does not apply to those who are believers. You know who you are. You know if all you care about. You know if the pleasure you get is when you come to the masjid. You know the pleasure you get is when you're in sujood to Allah Azza wa Jal. You know that you hate the haram. You know that when the haram comes to you or you see the haram, your heart, it rejects it, it repels it, like oil and water. You know who you are, so you don't have to be afraid. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. Right? Allah, essentially, when the angels will come, and I will get into this in a minute here, in terms of what happens when you die, because we have to cover the process of what happens when we die, and the fact that the life, how short it is, and what you're doing in this life, the consequences. Immediately after passing, what the consequences are, and what we can do, essentially, to safeguard and protect ourselves. And we have to be conscious and mindful of this, my brothers and sisters in Islam. So listen to this. For the righteous soul, When the righteous soul is passing, essentially moments before he's dying, a group of angels will come and surround him. Very beautiful angels in a crowd, as far as the eyes can see. The angels will surround him, and essentially Malik al-Maut will come and say, "Come out, O you righteous soul. Come out." And the soul will essentially come out. You know how we perspire? How the sweat perspires through our skin, how easy that is? That's how easily the soul will come out, right? And when they're coming down, they will say, "Allah takhafu wala tahzanu wa abashiru bil jannah," right? Essentially, don't fear, don't grieve, and come to the Jannah, the paradise as it is promised to you. Again, this is for the believer, clear-cut believer, nothing in between. Believer. Who's the believer? Who's the one who is fulfilling all the covenants to Allah Azza wa Jal, nothing in between. And we'll get more into this, my brothers and sisters in Islam. So now, the one who is not so righteous, you know what happens? The one who is not a believer, the disbeliever. Again, doesn't matter if you're just Muslim, you have to be a believer. If you die Muslim, it doesn't mean you automatically qualify for being in the category of believer, right? This is for the disbeliever, the evildoer, the one who has not fulfilled this covenant to Allah Azza wa Jal. The angels, they will descend. These are scary looking angels. These are scary with mean faces. They will descend and surround the soul. And the soul will be afraid, will be frightened. And then the angels will come and say, "Come and taste the hellfire. Come and taste the hellfire that has been promised to you." And the soul will not want to come out. At this point, the soul will not want to come out. And the soul, the analogy that's used by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is as if a skewer. If you take a skewer or a thorn, and try to pull it through a wet wool, you know what happens? The soul starts to spread out in many different pieces, and you're trying to pull it out. It doesn't want to come out. And that extraction is painful, my brothers and sisters in Islam. And then when this corrupt soul is then ascended, he's basically taken up to go meet Allah, to be taken up to Allah Azza wa Jal. And what happens is it passes all the different angels. The angels say, "Who is this foul soul? Who is this foul soul?" And the angels say, "This is such and such, and he used to do such and such," and all the evil things that the people used to say about him. Even granted, understand, even if you think outwardly this person was good or whatnot, only every single one of ourselves. This question, my brothers and sisters in Islam, no one can judge you. No one has the right ability or even the knowledge to be able to do this except for you yourself. This is between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. Which category do you want to be? Which category are you working, spending your life toward? Which one? And then the angels, basically, they will take them up to the front, the first heaven, and they will knock on the door. The angels will not open the door. They'll say, "For this foul soul, we can't open this door." And then Allah Azza wa Jal will say, "Throw this servant's book of records into Sijjin. وَمَا أَضْرَاكَ مَا سِجِّينَ كَلَّا إِنَّ كِتَابَ الْفُجَّارِ لَفِي سِجِّينَ." Allah Azza wa Jal says, the ones who are the evildoers, the fujjari, the ones who don't fulfill my covenant, take their deeds and throw it away in the depths of hellfire. That's where it will be. That's the place of this. And then the soul will be returned back into the grave, into the earth. Okay? Before this, on the other hand, what's going to happen to the righteous soul? The righteous soul, essentially, as he ascends through the heavens, it's very easy, very simple, my brothers and sisters in Islam. They're going to ascend, knock on the first door, entrance. The soul is going to ascend all the way up to Allah Azza wa Jal. All the angels on the way up are going to say great things about this soul. And Allah Azza wa Jal is going to say, "Indeed, my servant has fulfilled his covenant," right? كَلَّا إِنَّ كِتَابَ الْأَبْرَارِ لَفِي عِلِّيِّينَ. Take this soul's deeds and safeguard it, store it in عِلِّيِّينَ, which is one of the highest levels of paradise. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا عِلِّيُّونَ كِتَابٌ مَرْقُومٌ. It's a record. It's a record that it will be stored. إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارَ لَفِي نَعِيمٍ. These are the righteous souls, essentially, for whom is na'im. They're going to be in bliss. But my servant, this is my servant. He is from the earth. Send him back to the earth. So now we're at the stage, right? This is all the events that just transpired. All of this is happening, my brothers and sisters in Islam, from the moment we die, while all of our funeral rites are being prepared, while our families are crying and taking us into the process of being buried. All of this is happening. We can't see this. And then, here's what happens. This is where it begins. This is where, my brothers and sisters in Islam, for those of you who are in the middle and to the left, those of you who are in the middle and to the left, this is when the real scary events occur, the bone-chilling, the spine-crushing, scary events that occur. Again, those that are the believers. Don't be frightened by this. Allah Azza, by His command, He says, don't be frightened. But this is a message as a reminder before it is too late. أَنِيبُوا إِلَى رَبِّكُمْ وَأَسْلِمُوا لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَن يُؤْتِكُمُ الْعَذَابِ. Right? Allah Azza wa Jalla, يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. O believers, O you, my servants, turn back to me. I forgive. Don't despair. Don't lose hope in me while you're alive. Don't lose hope. It doesn't matter how far you have strayed. Come back to me. أَنِيبُوا إِلَى رَبِّكُمْ وَأَسْلِمُوا لَهُ. Come back to me, turn back to me and submit. Aslim. Submit to me. And ask for forgiveness and change your life. Join the people of the believers. Before it's too late. Min qabli an yu'tikum al-adab. Now here's when the adab begins, when this is death. Now, when the soul is being returned, this is before the angels come to question you, the two angels. We'll talk about that as well. The soul is then placed above, in between the body, okay? And by default, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah Azza wa Jal has made the grave. He has made the grave by default the place of punishment. The punishment is there by default. It's going to come by default. What's going to happen immediately when the grave is going to try to come and squeeze the soul. Like rib cages, as Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam described. They'll squeeze the soul, squeeze the rib cages like this. And then Allah Azza wa Jal will put 99 dragons above this person, coming above this head. Understand, this is the importance of this is for Allah Azza wa Jal, the wisdom in this is to share with us how important it is for us to fortify our defenses. I'm going to talk about those defenses, what is required, what are those defenses against this torment. So these 99 dragons, each one of this head, each one of the dragons is like 70 serpents. Each one of the dragons is like 70 serpents with 7 heads, all stinging you. Their only job is to sting this soul until the day of judgment. The day of judgment from when you die till the day of judgment can be thousands of years from now. Thousands of years from when you die. My brothers and sisters in Islam, we're talking about this tournament. Okay, there is reprieve from this for the righteous soul. You know what is going to happen? There's going to be this torment coming, all this torment in the grave that it's intrinsically designed for. At this moment, your salawat is going to come. It's going to be personified. It's personified. All your salawat are going to come above your dragon. You say, you cannot pass through me. I am this person's salawat who he held so dearly. He honored his covenant with Allah Azza wa Jalla. This salawat is going to come and protect you. You say, you cannot pass through me. And then your siyam. The siyam, the fast. On your right hand side, the adab is going to come and the siyam is going to stand. You can't pass through me. I am the siyam that this righteous soul has observed throughout his life. And then on the left, zakat is going to come and shield you against this. To your feet, it's going to be your sadaqat, your charity, your righteous deeds, your akhlaq. If you did hajj, your hajj, all of your good deeds, your charity, and everything. It's going to come and protect you under your feet. So now you're completely encapsulated by your good deeds. You see, it's about how all 5 pillars of Islam are coming together to protect you on the grave. If you have just one, there are a lot. There are a lot of those who are in the middle and to the left. They are living their life according to their own desire, to their nafs, who is dominantly taken over them. And they go and do whatever they feel like, and they say, I'm doing a lot of charity. They do this to make themselves feel good. I'm doing a lot of charity, I sponsor all these orphans, I do this, I do that, but I don't pray. Yeah, I go drink, I go to the club, I engage in haram, illicit affairs, whatever I do, whatever I feel like. Or I control myself, I don't do any of that. I stay away from all the haram, I don't do anything haram, I give a lot of charity, but I don't pray, because I'm lazy. You know what? You're not fulfilling your covenant. You don't have all your defenses ready to protect you when you need it the most. Back in the time any times of war, what happens? Like in the time when they were establishing the kingdoms, the castles and forts and everything. You know what the enemies would try to do? They would try to come to the fort and try to identify this. They would send spies to see if they can identify weaknesses in the defenses of the fort, so they can sneak in through those weak holes or weak walls of the fort and go and destroy the entire fort. essentially you're leaving an entire gap when you don't fulfill one of the covenants of Allah Azza, one of the pillars of faith. When you leave it, essentially you are at risk of being one of the disbelievers. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My brothers and sisters in Islam, so to continue, here's what happens. After this, after you've been placed in the grave, and either you have your defenses who have protected you from all this, or you have not, you're essentially started this punishment, then the two angels descend. Munkar and Nakir. These are very, very scary looking angels. Their wings, they span miles. It will take you days to traverse this wingspan of these angels. And their eyes are glistening and lightning like the sun. And they're carrying with them hammers. They have a hammer that if you took all the strength of all the mankind, all the strength of all the jinn, they would not be able to move this hammer by a millimeter. And they are there, they're there to question you. They're there to ask you the three questions, right? They're there to ask you, Man Rabbuk, Ma Dinuk, Man Nabiyuk. These answers will come to you very easy. Raditu billahi Rabban, wa bi Islami dinan, wa Muhammad Nabiyan Rasulan wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is easy for the believer to answer. This is not something you can just memorize and then you'll be able to do it. No. If you have lived your life in accordance to Islam, what, again, the 5 pillars of faith, the 5 pillars of Islam, not 4, not 3, not 2, not 1, all 5 pillars of Islam, then you will be able to answer this. And then, you know what happens, my brothers and sisters in Islam? You essentially are granted Jannah in your grave. What happens? Allah Azza wa Jal says, Sadaqa abdi. My abdi has responded accurately. And He will say, give him furniture of the Jannah. Clothe him, shroud him with the clothes of the Jannah. And make his grave for him so wide as far as the eye can see, and give him the breeze of the Jannah so he can get a smell of the Jannah. Allahu Akbar. And this righteous soul, essentially he's in paradise as soon as he dies. This soul, he or she, they are essentially enjoying the essence of paradise. As soon as they die, as soon as the soul is lifted, as the entire process we just talked about. And on the other hand, the disbeliever, you know what happens to the disbeliever? Allah Azza wa Jalla, they're asked the same questions. They say, I don't know who my Rabb is. I don't know what my religion is. I don't know who my Nabi is. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, you're lying. You know this, you just can't answer. Because you did not uphold your salawat, you did not care for my covenants, and you did not care for all my warnings. Allahu Akbar. This is essentially what we have to worry about, my brothers and sisters in Islam. So this Ramadan, why do I talk about this in Ramadan? This is our best opportunity, because if your nafs is already corrupted, if your nafs is borderline, and you're one of those who in Ramadan you're able to pray, your behavior is better, you need to understand that's what you need to take forth with you, and at all cost. At all costs, essentially we talked about what the cost is. That's the focus of this khutbah. What is your cost when you don't uphold and safeguard yourself and your covenant to Allah Azza wa Jal? What is that cost? It's eternal punishment. Eternal punishment as soon as you die. That's what it is. This Ramadan, when the shayateen, when Iblis is locked away and you're left to yourself to only fight with nothing else but your nafs. Reform yourself, my brothers and sisters in Islam. Reform yourself. I say this for you. Do it for yourself. You owe it to yourself. This is only for you. No one can answer this question but you. No one is judging you. No one has the right nor the capability. Everybody's busy with themselves. Ask yourself, have a deep conversation and look inside yourself and see what it is. One more reminder, I want to tell you this. For all the sisters, brothers out there who are engaging in social media and everything. You know what we talked about? We talked about this need for defenses, to fortify your defenses. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for the sake of argument, Allah Azza wa Jal has let you know the exact day you're going to die. He said, look, you have 10 years, you're going to die on this exact day, at this exact hour, at this exact minute, this is when you're going to die. Let's say you have that knowledge. And you're of one of those who have a corrupted nafs, and you say, haha, I'm going to go party, I'm going to go do whatever I got to do, I'm going to live my life, I don't care. And then I'm going to go to Hajj. Guess what? I'm going to go to Hajj on the 2 days before I die. I'm going to go to Hajj. If I go to Hajj, I'm going to be forgiven, and I'm going to go to Jannah. Okay, for the sake of argument, let's say Allah Azza accepts your Hajj, and He forgives you. Alright? When that punishment in the grave comes, where is your salawat to stand up to protect you against those dragons? Where is your zakat to protect you from the adab from the left? Where's your siyam to protect you from the adab on the right? You may only have hajj that may cover your feet. That's about it. It's a balance, my brothers and sisters in Islam. You know, when we fortify our defenses for that moment in the grave, essentially we need all the good deeds that we can get. And by the rahmah of Allah Azza, He's given us again the opportunity to come out each Ramadan with 83 years of accepted ibadah. Don't we need that? Now, let's say you are one of those who do some good deeds and then you're engaged in bad deeds all the time. You know what is a bad deed, my brothers and sisters in Islam, which is a global calamity and a shame, atrocity for each and every single one of us? It's this social media, especially when you have brothers, sisters alike. But this is more of a problem amongst the Muslim sisters in general. And I have to say this, I'm going to talk straight. This is for your salvation. I'm going to talk straight as I would tell my own wife, as I would advise my own daughter, as I would advise my own sisters. You see Muslim women all over the world, even those wearing hijab, they're plastering their faces all over the social media. They are plastering what they're doing worse, not just their face, their bodies, everything, whatever they feel like. They're saying, oh, I just have this nice, beautiful dress. I'm going to take a picture. So you know what? All the internet randos and pervos, they can come and have all sorts of thoughts looking at me. This is what I want. This is what they're doing. This is what you're doing. Even if you're wearing hijab, you're over here putting porcelain filters on your face and putting it out there. For what? You are beautifying yourself for what? For anyone else except for your husband. What are you getting out of it? You know what you're getting out of it? There's a concept of sadaqah jariyah. When you do sadaqah, it is ongoing, it's perpetual. You're doing amala bih jariyah. You're doing evil deeds jariyah. Your evil deeds are ongoing and they're building. You put one picture of your face on Facebook, your good deeds, it is sitting there diminishing all your good deeds. Let's say you prayed that week. Guess what? You just posted a picture of yourself. And by the end of the week, your salat is gone, it's wiped, it's down, it's out. You know what you're doing? You're in the grave now, and you're going to be repenting. You're saying, Ya Allah, I just wanted some attention of some crazy people I didn't even know. I wanted to impress some friends I didn't even care about. And now I'm here in the grave, and I have no defenses. I've lost all my defenses because of my stupidity. It's stupidity. My sisters, and brothers do this too. They're no less guilty. This is serious matter, my brothers and sisters in Islam. This is serious matter. You gotta take it seriously. You gotta take your destiny seriously. It's for you. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm worried about myself. I need to save myself. But I can remind you, as your dear brother in Islam, as your brother in Islam who is commanded by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to love you and want for you as I want for myself. Otherwise, I can't taste the sweetness of the deen. My brothers and sisters in Islam, take this advice for yourself. Take it with you. This Ramadan. Ramadan is your opportunity to hear this. Because you don't have the shaitan preventing you from hearing this. And if your nafs is so corrupted, try to hear this. Maybe Allah Azza will make you hear this and reform yourself. Inshallah. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما اعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فانه تقضي ولا يقضى عليك وانه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من اديت باركت ربنا وتعاليت واقيموا الصلاه